Hey, this is Canon Vickery, and today I'm going to show you how to take the CPU out of a BTX form factor. So we'll start off by taking the case off. This one has a switch on the top. You pull to let it go. The case drops. Now for this one, we can't reach the CPU with all the CD drive and the hard drives in the way. So we're going to start off by taking them out. You have to pull this tab up, kind of shake that out. I'm going to lean it back here. Hard drive, get out. And it pivots here on the back, so you have to tilt it up and then let it go. Bring that back to here, just set it here. Now we have to take the heatsink out, and so there's two screws on both sides of it right here. Take them out real quick. Now, how the CPU works, it uses electricity in order to process the data, and so it causes it to heat up, and it just can't handle that heat very well, and so it has this heat sink. It's used to, we already took the thermal compound off of it, but there's this thermal compound between the processor and the heat sink that makes it that all the heat from the processor transfers to the heatsink to these little, can't think of what they're called right now.
Fin or tine?
Fins or tines. And the fan here, it blows air through to cool it down. And that's how it's able to stay cool. On this one here, this processor, it's a LGA, a land grid array. It's using the socket. We had to look up the socket online, but it's an LGA 775. So, pop it back, lift this little tab up. There's a little notch right here. We can get our finger in. We can lift this up, and there's our processor. If you look there, it has you can see it's an LGA. The difference between an LGA and a PGA is the PGA uses pins to connect. This one just has these little pads. I don't know how well you can see that, but that's how it uses. There's also a ball GA that it has kind of like a single point where it connects, but you don't see that one too often. Over here, we can see our information about the processor. It's let's see, an Intel Core 2 Duo, 1.8 gigahertz, and so. Yeah, that's information about this processor. We're going to go ahead. What the processor does for the computer is it's like the brain for the computer. It's the thing that does all the calculation and I guess processes for the computer. And because of the amount of stuff it has to do, that's why it heats up so much, and so it requires all this stuff to keep it cool. So we're going to just put everything back together. Now there's no reason to go too tight when putting in those screws, because it just needs to hold this down to keep it connected with the to keep the heatsink connected with the processor. And if we do it too tight, it'll crack the motherboard. And so, put the hard drive back in. Take our CD drive. That back in here. Shift it to the side. If you look in the front, you can kind of see how when it's lined up. So you'll pull the pin up, drop it. And there, CD drive's back together. So we'll take this, put this back on. Sometimes if you pull this pin, it makes it a little bit easier for it to fall back down. But yeah, that's how you can take the processor out of a BTX form factor.